Hello friends, I hope you are doing well. Today's video is about a father who killed his 12-year-old daughter. Please stay with me until the end of the video. Well, it was almost the evening of January 2020, when in one of the neighborhoods of Los Angeles, the screams of a woman named Alma echoed in the alley, who was asking for help. Tommy entered the house and he has a gun in his hand. At that time, Alma had come out of the house with her two sons of 6 and 11 years old, Johnny and Johnso, but she was constantly worried about her older daughter Jivan, who stayed inside the house, but unfortunately at this moment when the alley was filled with women's screams and a gunshot was heard. At that moment, while many neighbors came out of the house, but still no one dared to enter that house and see what happened, it was at this moment that Tommy came out of the house with a gun in his hand, which was obvious. He shot his daughter. At that moment, no one dared to go to Tommy because he was not in a normal state and he might hurt a few other people there. Alma and her two sons were hiding in a corner for fear that Tommy's eyes wouldn't catch them and so on. It happened that Tommy ran away from there. When the atmosphere calmed down a little, Alma realized what could have happened to Jivan. He told the neighbors that when he came out of the house, the neighbor was sleeping outside, and the neighbors said that, "Go into the house." And they see that the lifeless body of 12-year-old Jivan was lying there. It was too late to save Jivan's life, but the neighbors informed the police and emergency services. The scene of the crime was so scary that those who had seen that scene that day said that they had never seen such a scene in their life, not even in horror movies, and it was really heartbreaking. Well, let me first tell about this family, how they lived with all these problems, so that you can better understand what happened in that house and understand what made Tommy kill his daughter that day. Tommy was an evil Aiden in every sense. He had a very violent relationship with his wife and children at home, and he constantly fought with them and beat them. And maybe until Jivan was a little younger, his father's attention was less. But since the girl was a little older, her father used to catch her and beat her more, and she no longer had the right to go to the street and play with her friends, which made it difficult for Jivan to study. Well, I said that Tommy later he had escaped from killing his daughter and no one knew where he was, but the officers quickly took action to find him because they knew that he could be a great danger to others. The police found out that Tommy took refuge in a friend's house after running away. Of course, it was not clear whether his friend knew about the murder, but the police managed to arrest him before he could run away again. It is said that Tommy has been known for fighting and being evil since his childhood, but when he grew up, the elders of his family thought that if Tommy married a woman, he could change his life and become wiser. That's why they proposed Alma to him. I asked him his opinion about his marriage and it was like the elders of their family had cut and sewed and married Alma. About 3 or 4 years after the marriage, Tommy and Alma had a daughter, who they named Jivan, and then Jivan and 2 more sons were born. Johnny and Jansuk were 6 and 11 years old at the time of the incident. The promise of marriage and not becoming a father had not been able to transform him into a calm and successful man, and he was still the same person that Alma and his children were captivated by. Even though Jivan was a child, after the birth of his brother, he had to take care of them, and because his father did not work properly and his mother had to work in a farm in the village, he was engaged in labor during those hours that Alma was working. It was Jivan who kept house and took care of his brothers, and his father was looking for his own chores and partying, and whenever he came back home, he would beat the children for any reason, and Tommy had even stabbed his own sisters with a knife several times and that was it. These actions showed that he was a dangerous person and that sooner or later he would cause a great disaster. Well, the life of this family, as I said, went on and on until Tommy, a small colt from whom it was unknown, began to threaten the people around him and his acquaintances, so that everyone around him was more afraid of him than before. To save his life, he and his children had left home and taken refuge in his father's house, but since Tommy was not a normal person, Alma's family was also afraid of him, so they sent Alma to his house every time. They told Alma that Tommy was a normal person. It's not right and they know what he is going to do to him, but they said that if they take action against Tommy, it might hurt them too. Well, it hasn't been long since the last time Alma returned to her husband's house, who gradually realized that Tommy is out of the house most of the time and doesn't come back home much, and they were happy about the fact that Tommy doesn't come back home much, that little by little news was heard from all corners that Tommy was in a relationship with another woman. He married her, and Alma and the children were happy because they were freed from the bully of Tanny's games. But it is not long before Tanny returns home and takes her children and makes them happy and tells Alma that she wants them with her. Ray's his new wife. After this incident, Alma feels very lonely without her children, and she did not know how that woman behaves with her children, and the interesting thing is that this situation did not last even a month, and that woman had sent the children back and said that she could not live with them in the same house. And it's strange that Tommy told Alma that he should pay his children's fees to his new wife for this 1 month, otherwise he will beat her in such a way that she won't be able to walk with him anymore. And now what happened to the children in this month, and how much it was hard to stay? Well, finally, the conflicts in this family are so high that one day Tommy takes out his weapons and threatens Alma and her children with death, and everyone knows that Tommy really has the potential to cause a big disaster. Well, on the same day when the conflicts were raging, 12-year-old Jivan sneakily informed the police on his mother's phone and told them the story, and the police arrested Tommy while he was still fighting and took him with him. The police station will take it, but Tommy, this monster who looks like a father, frees himself from there anyway and comes out and walks towards the house, but this time with a very big grudge against his little daughter. But the strange thing is, where did Tommy hide the gun before he was arrested, and how did he hide it? Because the officers could not find it at the time of his arrest. On the day of the incident in the evening, Tommy comes home while Alma has just returned from work and sees that Tommy is looking for his gun and feels the danger. At the same time, he grabs the hands of his 2 sons and runs out of the house, and unfortunately he remembers the severity of his daughter Jivan's anxiety. At that time, little Jivan had fallen asleep in front of the TV while watching a children's program and